Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the latest episode of Raw. So this episode started off with the Usos coming down. They were stopped under midway down the stairs by the Vision coming out, and then it just basically led to an awkward moment where the Usos were basically just stood there for about 10-15 minutes going, whoa, what do we do now? We just there, so we kind of had LA until LA Knight came out, and then this was set up like a 6-man tag because it seems that Adam Pearce didn't have a starter for them for this episode of Raw start again, so he was like, thank God things kicked off in this fashion because I had nothing to start this episode again. So yeah, we kicked off with a 6-man tag, which was fine. I think it made a lot of sense to insert the Usos into this feud with the Vision. I said a good while ago that I could see the Usos potentially getting dethroned by a tag team representative of the Vision, whether it be Logan Paul and Bronson Reed or Logan Paul and Austin Theory. I would suspect Austin Theory and Logan Paul potentially, because I could imagine Bronson Reed being tied up in the singles feud with LA Knight potentially, so it would make sense. But yeah, I said at the time though that I felt that maybe that could be a catalyst for when we had this little kind of shift in Jey Uso's character where he had a little bit more of an edge to him, and maybe that could kind of tip it him kind of over the edge, where I couldn't really see it as having the full-blown heel Jey Uso, but heelish kind of thing. It could cause a bit of a kind of a downward spiral for Jey Uso maybe, and I just and maybe it could end up with a split up with the Usos. Now looking at the landscape, I don't think that should happen, because I think that one of the commodities of inserting the Vision into this is that the tag team division desperately needs them right now. We saw obviously with the Usos taking on Otis and Tozawa, that basically the competition for the Usos is really sparse at the minute in terms of star appeal. So in terms of kind of really something to really maybe feel like there's a real threat, there's a real trepidation there. So certainly Vision into that makes sense, but then obviously you kind of want to build from that. You don't want to just sort of split the Usos up, because then it's just, at the very best, the tag team representative of a Vision kind of doing really nothing in the tag team division again. So you kind of want to use it as a catalyst to bring more in. But yeah, this culminated with the Vision picking up a win, and then only for the Masked Man to appear to attack Logan Paul this time before taking off. I mean, I don't think you need to necessarily really overcomplicate this. I think you can just have this be Seth Rollins, and I think that would be fine. Like I said, I don't think that, if you got the reveal of being the Masked Man, would it have the same pop as Seth Rollins coming out during the match with Bron Breakker at the main event? No, I don't think it would. But, we're not sort of in those ideal times. I think that maybe WWE would like that, but I don't. I kind of, maybe you could argue in the world of kayfabe, it wouldn't make much sense for why Seth Rollins would be wearing a mask all of this time. But in reality, it kind of makes sense, because if it is him, then you could kind of see that they are just sort of kind of planting the seeds. They kind of want to tell the story, but they're just kind of biding their time until they can get the green light for Seth Rollins to be okay. So that would kind of make sense. But I honestly can't think of anybody else who it could be. I mean, it could be Chris Jericho, but I don't think it is, because I do think that that Chris Jericho is appearing at the Elimination Chamber in a different context, because then we then went on to go into a second mystery that we've currently got on Raw, where this crate mysteriously turned up, basically kind of like a just delivered to WWE. There was like no address on it or anything. It was just delivered to WWE and don't open until Elimination Chamber. It didn't have Elimination Chamber written on it, but had basically the date of Elimination Chamber. So so Adam Pearce was basically just like, send it over to SmackDown, let them deal with it. That's basically how Adam Pearce rolls, I guess. If a problem rolls, just shift it on to somebody else. It kind of like we've all been in that working environment. So yeah, I kind of just feel we'll go to and fro. Nick Aldis will send it back to Raw, and it'll just bide its time until kind of Elimination Chamber. And I could totally see that this is just kind of provides a segue to introduce Chris Jericho into the Elimination Chamber. I think we've all kind of like, obviously, except that Chris Jericho is gonna debut. It's just the intrigue is just kind of what capacity is going to be, and that's going to be like the real intriguing thing. But yeah, I don't think you necessarily need to reinvent the wheel to it. I think you can just keep it really kind of like this simplified. We had the women's qualifying for the Elimination Chamber between Natty, Bailey, and Oscar. This was a really great match, really great in-ring performances, as you would expect from these three. I really wasn't necessarily confident that Oscar was going to come out. I was confident quietly confident Bailey was going to come out the victor here. And we not only had Bailey, Oscar winning here, which I think was the right call, because I think Oscar is awesome, and I think you can really kind of like catapult her. I think her in the Elimination Chamber could be great. So yeah, I think it's the right call. But we have Bailey picking up a pin here, which makes me kind of wonder if there is something bigger for Bailey. Maybe Bailey and Lyra Valkyria go on to win the tag team titles maybe at some point. I'm not too sure, but yeah, you would suspect something is kind of like going to turn a corner with Bailey and Lyra Valkyria there potentially. We had a backstage segment with Obafemi having this little kind of face off between Rusev, which was great to see. It was, if nothing else, it was just great to see Rusev back, because I feared like everyone had like WWE had totally forgotten about him. Do you know what I mean? Everyone was like, he got this kind of reinvention of his character, and he was he was kind of reintroduced again as this kind of like a bit of a destroyer, this kind of like redeemer, and it's sort of like and then he just kind of faded into the abyss, and nobody really knew what happened to him. So yeah, it's good to have him back. If they do kind of pull the trigger on a feud between Obafemi and Rusev, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? And I'm not against Obafemi just completely squashing him and just kind of making that statement. You know what I mean? I can sort of see it I can totally see it happening. So yeah, I could potentially see that happening. Yeah, we basically had another backstage segment here where we basically had Liv Morgan being interviewed by Michael Cole. This where basically she was still kind of iffing and ahhing over who she's going to pick for her title shot, although we all know that it's going to be Stephanie Valkyrie. And so the aforementioned Stephanie Valkyrie came out and was basically ranting at her in Spanish. So Dominic Mysterio was interpreting it, was translating it for Liv Morgan, and in doing so kind of made him like the worst boyfriend ever, if it was it was already kind of already known because he was just then whispering into Liv Morgan's ears, she thinks you're trash, she thinks you're terrible, he thinks you're scum, she thinks she's better than you, to the point where basically Liv Morgan just broke down in tears. And it was just, yeah, so it was interesting to see a heel break down in tears, to be fair. I don't know if that indicates maybe there is going to be a babyface turn against Liv Morgan. So yeah, that bit was interesting, but yeah, we're all for it. We had another promo here between continuing the build for CM Punk and Finn Balor. We basically had Finn Balor coming out and basically we're accompanied by JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio. He was basically Finn Balor was basically saying how he had done all this stuff in like New Japan and Mexico, and he debuted on Raw and he beat Roman Reigns, and this was kind of like an indication that maybe he's the best in the world. And CM Punk kind of came back, was going, well, yeah, you did do all these great things, and this is why I wanted to face you. This is why I was excited to face you. But you accomplished all of that before you got tied in with the Judgment Day, and since then it's been this downward trajectory. If anything, Judgment Day, what you've kind of like proved here by laying off all these past achievements, what you've kind of done is proven my point that the Judgment Day are just kind of like holding you back. So I thought that this was like a real fire promo. I thought that it really did its job, and like no one's kind of like expecting Finn Balor to dethrone CM Punk. I think that the obvious play here is that CM Punk basically just retains, but you kind of like use that match as a catalyst to kind of implode the Judgment Day, and then you maybe have Finn Balor go babyface and go on an intercontinental title match against Dominic Mysterio. I think that would be kind of the obvious play, and it's been a long time in coming. Do you know what I mean? I don't mean that disparaging towards the Judgment Day, because I've enjoyed them as a as a group, but you know, the time has come and it's been a long time in coming. So yeah, I think we need to kind of just pull the trigger on that now. So yeah, talking of the aforementioned Intercontinental title, we had a match here between Penta and El Grande Americano for the number one contenders for the Intercontinental title, which kind of just came out of nowhere, because who knows what they them two had done kind of to do that. But yeah, here we are. We had Penta and Grande Americano, which again was another fire match. We had the OG Americano coming in with all its shenanigans. You know, it's goofy, it's silly, but I'm all for it. I do find it really a bit interesting that they're kind of Ludwig Kaiser, Grande Americano is basically kind of almost like the over baby face of the two. Though I do find that a bit of an anomaly, but yeah, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? I think that it's not something you would be able to will be able to drag out too long. I think it's something that would get stale quite quickly. But for now, yeah, I'm just you know, I watch wrestling for, sometimes I do enjoy all of that like little bit of a goofy stuff, and this is just kind of what it does. And you know, it's sports entertainment, and I was entertained. So yeah, what can I say? So we had this little promo as well between AJ Lee and Becky Lynch, which was fine. Do you know what I mean? It didn't really yeah, I mean, it was fine. It didn't really move a needle for me. It was kind of maybe more grounded in the way that you know, it wasn't this real big over the top kind of comedic the exchange between the two. So there was still some element of that, but it was more grounded than what we've seen. Yeah, it, like I said, it ticked all the boxes. You know, both women did everything that was expected of them. Do you know what I mean? It just kind of, for some reason, it didn't quite. It Yeah, it didn't move the needle. It didn't make me excited any more excited for this match than I already was. So, it was fine. It didn't sort of move a needle. It was just one of those that kind of came and went, and you would, throughout the promo, you're just kind of going, yeah, 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 but yeah, okay, all right, yeah, okay, we'll move on. Like it was just that, I don't really have anything more to say about it. So yeah, we then moved on to the main event between Javon Evans, Dominic Mysterio, and Gunther for qualifying for the Elimination Chamber. Again, this was just another fire match, as you would expect if you got these three in the ring. I am absolutely delighted that Javon Evans ended up winning here. Again, I wasn't entirely confident that he was going to, but I do absolutely think that he's kind of the right person for it. I think he can do a lot of other things with Gunther and Elimination Chamber. Obviously, Dominic Mysterio is under the Intercontinental title, so you can do stuff with him. So yeah, Javon Evans is the one who can benefit the most from the environment of the Elimination Chamber, because you can do all the craze, because you can handle, because he can take all of the crazy big spots in that kind of environment. So I think he's absolutely the right choice to win this match. So yeah, like I said, I wasn't convinced. I was just hoping and praying that they did go for that, because, like I said, I think Javon Evans in that environment of the Elimination Chamber could absolutely be fire, and I'm just so delighted that we get to see that as wrestling fans. So yeah, that pretty much concludes my review of this episode of Raw. So yeah, thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to ring a bell for notifications. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please feel free to let me know down in the comment section about what your own thoughts about this episode of Raw was, what your own little theories are going forward towards Elimination Chamber and the road to WrestleMania, all of our fun geeky stuff. Please let me know down in the comment section, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. You guys take care.